Welcome back to Road Atlanta. We are getting ready for our feature race of the day, which is TA2, and we are looking forward to this because the championship is on the line. And we're just finishing off this particular race that's on track at the moment, and we'll get down to the pre-grid in a moment. And I'm delighted to say that with me in the commentary booth are Ryan Eversley and Andy Lally. Before we get to them, so we'll get their insight on what's going on out there, because they know a thing or two about racing around these sorts of tracks and these sorts of cars. But let's go down to our own Ben Sissel, who is down there, and I can see Mike Skeen's car resplendently shining and ready to go in that Ford Mustang. Ben, what's happening?
Thanks, Johnny. I'm here with Mike Skeen, who's about to go out in our penultimate race. We've got a doubleheader, but you could clinch the championship in TA2 today. It's your race to lose. What's your strategy?
Yeah, obviously we're in the best position to hopefully get a nice clean start. If we can get through lap one, I think we'll be pretty solid. If we have to give up a position or two early on in order to keep it clean, then so be it. But we have the pace. We have a very fast race car here from Stevens Miller Racing, so hopefully we can bring it home with a win and really put an exclamation point on this championship. But we'll take our time and get that if we can. We want to make sure this Lamali Stevens Miller Racing Turn 14 distribution Mustang stays clean, scores points. I think we only have to be fifth maybe to clinch it today, so we'll play it smart.
Nice. Play it smart. That's intelligent. Mike Skeen running right here. So now we're going to come over to Rafa Matos, and I heard from Jeff Holly, his crew chief, that just 5-10 minutes ago they had to replace the serpentine belt to get him out. The serpentine belt was frayed. Rafa, what's your strategy?
Well, I'm very confident in the car. I'm confident we made the right change yesterday. My strategy is to win the race. It's have a safe start. If I have a chance to overtake him on the start, okay. But what matters is the last lap. So we're focusing on saving our tires, saving our brakes, and attacking in the end of the race, probably.
So you've won here in TA2 the last 2 years, so obviously you like this track. How are you going to get around this guy?
Well, obviously Mike has had the pace all weekend long. We had certainly a very good pace. Hopefully we made the right change and we can have a very strong car and overtake him and have a fair race.
Nice, thank you, Rafa. Tony, if you don't mind, we're going to come this way. I would like to get a shot of Franklin as he gets in. This is Franklin Futrell, and you can see right here who is Franklin Futrell. He's a great driver. He got in third. He could be a spoiler here with us in TA2. This is his home track, and he's been a Skip Barber instructor here for years. Really fast, but this is his first time in TA2. Then we're going to come over here. We have NASCAR Hall of Famer racing with us with Cope Racing, Ray Evernham. Check this out. Legendary crew chief with Jeff Gordon, Bill Elliott. If he can hear me, Ray, your first time in TA2, what's your strategy here?
I really just want to stay on the racetrack first of all and not be part of the championship story, but get as many laps as I can. This is a great series. That's definitely where the future of our sport is headed, but I wanted to try one of these cars, so it's a bucket list thing for me. So I want to finish today and stay out of the way.
Nice. I love it. And we've been following Ray for a while. He races all kinds of cars with us, including the Ghost. He has gotten to be such a good road racer and just loves kind of the discipline that goes into it. As we come over here in between Cameron Lawrence, Tony, if you don't mind, Cameron Lawrence is still mathematically in the hunt to win the TA2 championship. He was telling me that you have to be very mathematic to figure out how, but he is mathematically able to win the championship this weekend. Edward Savajian qualified fifth with us in the Big Machine vodka and Big Machine hand sanitizer. Always fast with us. He's in a Ford, his teammate is in a Chevy. Scott Borchetta qualified 10th. Then we come over here, Misha Goikberg. Misha hasn't been able to race with us a lot this year because of everything that's happening in 2020. Misha's racing with BC Race Cars. His teammate this weekend got second in our West Coast Championship, Michelle Abadi, but he is always really fast here. Then we come to Connor Mosak, racing with M1 Race Cars, Nick Taylor Custom Fit Underwear. Connor Mosack is with Junior Motorsports in NASCAR. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr., NASCAR royalty. He raced with him in 2020, is looking for a full-time ride in 2021 with us and in NASCAR. Then we come to Jet Nolan, another up-and-comer from Florida, and he, I think, is in the running to win the Rookie of the Year in TA2. Really good race car driver, drives a lot of stock cars, late model cars. Then we come over here, we're going to talk a lot about Scott Borchetta. Scott Borchetta here in the Big Machine Vodka, Big Machine Distillery hand sanitizer car. He's a big part of the Nashville, the Music City Grand Prix. He's super happy to be up here to qualify 10th place in his Camaro. We saw Edward in 5th place as we get 3 minutes on the grid. We've got about 25 cars here. Bob Lima, who gave Mike Skeen his car at VIR, one of my heroes right there. Keith Prochek. We weren't sure if Keith Prochek, over here to your left, Tony, in the HP Tuners car, we weren't sure if he was going to be here, but he had a migraine Thursday, but called Friday, said he's good. I'm with Bob Lima. This is the car that Mike Skeen won at VIR to stay in the championship hunt. Bob Lima was nice enough to let Mike race it and then win in the race. Tim Gray, big reason we go to Brainerd every year in his Ryan. Awesome TA2 car. He had a bad shunt at Circuit of the Americas just 2 weeks ago. The car's back here with us. It is going to be fantastic here at TA2 race at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Jonathan Green, I can't wait to join you and Andy Lally and Ryan Eversley up there to call this race. We'll see you guys soon.
Perfect stuff there, Ben, as always, as we get ready for our TA2 coverage. And I'm looking forward to getting the insight of two very handy racing drivers alongside me as we get ready for our feature race. So, as we look down high above the pre-grid, we're about to get underway in less than a minute from our start command for the race. And these beautiful cars will roar into action. And I'll tell you what, when you've got the likes of Ray Everingham starting his series, his own series very soon, but coming to join us, Misha Goikerberg has been racing IMSA this season. We'll be on board with Cameron Lawrence, so we'll be able to see where he is on track, what gear he's on, when he's accelerating, when he's braking, and we might even hear some radio now and again. We're in the tower just in front of that shot you're looking at right now, watching down on the action as we get ready to go. Looking forward to seeing Scott Borchetta. He's had a big afternoon. He's already won in a Corvette, and Big Machine Vodka are becoming a big name. I say becoming. They're far more than that. They've been part of motor racing for quite some time now, and they will be very much involved in the Nashville race for IndyCar and for these cars here, TA2 and the three-dimensional services group with Doug Peterson and Cameron Lawrence, also a big part of our Trans Am coverage. Looking forward to the start of this one. These guys have had to wait all day. They qualified late yesterday. There was oil on the track. Stevens Miller Racing are the current champions, and they could be the current champions after this weekend as well, because they've led all the way with Mike Skeen. He's done a great job. He's had a bit of luck now and again in a couple of races, but he's led from the very get-go at Sebring, where he did get a break when Thomas Merrill went off, but that seems like an eternity ago, February, when the world was a different place. So, let's get ready to go racing. And as we fire up the engines, as soon as we head out, there's Eric with the official who is in control now of these monsters, these muscle cars, and he does a great job. And away they go, led by Mike Skeen. And I'm going to start with Ryan Eversley, who's alongside me. Looking forward to this. Who are you looking forward to watching here? And Andy Lally is here, another man I know who is going to be an interesting factor because, of course, he's got a fair few thousand miles around this track. And Andy, can we ever coax you into one of these monsters, do you think?
Absolutely. I was very fortunate to do one Trans Am race in 2017 at Watkins Glen, and it was an absolute blast. I love this TA2 concept. I think I wrote a letter to the president of the SVRA when this was first coming in, and I said, this is an amazing concept. Don't mess with it. Keep these tires affordable for the crews, keep the budgets low, and put this on the racers to go out there and do their thing. And I can't wait to see the green flag drop here and watch these guys fly into turn one. We've got a deep talent pool at the pointy end of the grid here, and without a doubt, this is going to be a good scrap.
And you know what? I'm going to go on the record and say you can have all your Formula E and electric this and electric that, hybrid this and hybrid that. Horse racing never died when we stopped using the horse as transport.
Unfortunately.
And I don't think Trans Am will ever die.
Absolutely. Honestly, I've loved the sound and sights and smells of these cars for years and years and years. And back when I became a gigantic fan, I was a casual fan a long time ago. When I met Tommy Kendall in '96, right before his romp through the series in '97, getting to know guys like Boris through the years, Butch Leitzinger through the years, just guys that have come in and all they've done is rave about these cars. I was so looking forward to get in, and when I finally got in, it was exactly what I thought. A huge amount of horsepower, a decent amount of grip, and a whole lot of fun.
You've done a few one-hour stints, I'm sure, or just under around this track. What's the key here for a 100-mile race?
In November, this is a little bit unique.
Right.
You know, you've got a little bit of a cooler temperature, so you could probably lean on these tires a little bit more. Did my homework, and I went down and I spoke to some of the drivers in the paddock here, and you talk to Cameron Lawrence, you talk to Mike Skeen, you're like, man, these Pirellis, they say these Pirellis are pretty good. You've got like your 5-lap cap when there's stickers where you can lay down, and then they're going to drop off a little bit, but not drop off a lot. And so they're going to stay under. These guys in these temperatures are going to be able to push 99.9% the whole way through this race.
No question about it. And Ryan, what are your thoughts as we go around for a second lap of, let me take you through, as a racer driver, what do you go through? What's your systems check?
I mean, the big thing you want to work on, like Andy mentioned, this is a unique time of year to be racing at Road Atlanta. So the big thing I'm working on right now is getting my tires as hot and up to pressure as possible, and also getting my brakes ready for this restart, for this actual start of the race here. And just looking around, seeing who's around me, making sure I understand the guys I'm going to be up against on the start, because some people tend to be a little reckless. I'm sure some of these guys are looking at Franklin Futrell not having a clue what he's going to play in here at the start. And if I know Franklin, he's going to be going for glory, as we saw in qualifying.
All right, It's confession time. This looks like the easiest part of a race, but we saw George Russell just a couple of weeks ago in Formula One in Imola go off while trying to warm the tires. Have you ever made a mistake at this juncture of the race before you've even got underway?
I spun at the 2015 World Challenge season opener at COTA on the pace lap in turn 9.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I don't want to jinx myself, so I'm just going to let that go.
Sink in.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I'm sure had a whole bunch of oops moments. I've got a very specific way that I'm going to warm up a tire at the beginning of a stint if I've got a pace lap to do that. Because you learn, you want to learn from other people's mistakes. You know, I've seen literally the first lap of the 24 hours of Daytona in front of me snap hook it into the kink and make a pile of junk out of something that they've been preparing all week and spending $500,000 on to pretty much shove in the dumpster and throw away any potential of wearing a new watch on the way home in 24 hours.
Well, I'm delighted to be joined by two great racing drivers from the USA, Ryan Eversley and Andy Lally, as we get ready for the start of this TA2 feature race for day one. Tomorrow they'll all be in action, all 5 classes for the grand finale. The light's still on the pace car as Mike Skeen leads them away. Rafa Matos, Ryan, he's got to pounce early, right, if he's going to make an effect on Mike Skeen. You were saying, you know, you've raced with Mike. If you give him half a chance, he'll take it.
Absolutely. You know, there's a point for leading a lap. There's a point for leading the most laps. So both those guys are going to be trying to capitalize on that. As the pace car is in, we're about to go green.
Here we go. We're about to go green in our TA2 race. The pace car comes in to the pit lane. Mike Skeen is in control. Rafa Matos will try and take him at the get-go. They cross the line now, and away we go. And a good start from Rafa Matos. Cameron Lawrence looking for position. Misha Goikerberg also looking to jink out, but Rafa Matos getting side by side, but has to give position to Mike Skeen as they go up the hill. We're on board with Cameron Lawrence as they go over the crest of turn 2 and down the hill for the first time for the S's. But Mike Skeen did exactly what he should do, which is get away well, as predicted by Ryan. And Ryan, that was a perfect start. He couldn't ask for much more than that.
Yeah, Rafa Matos doing a nice job of slotting in there third. Franklin Futrell, we saw really aggressive into turn 1. Affected his run up the hill, and it looks like Rafa was able to get up there, get into third place. We saw some side-by-side banging, and that's probably one of the best parts of these Trans Am cars. They can kind of bang on each other and keep on racing, and we love it.
Yeah, Rafa started right off the bat, leaned right in the ski. Got to stay clean. He needs 21 points to come out of this with the championship and lock it up today. Rafa doesn't care. He's throwing it all out there. He knows if he can get in front in the first turn, maybe put a little bit of pressure on Mike, maybe get guys behind him to put pressure on Mike, that might cause some damage. Rafa's hoping for chaos right now. He wants Skeen back in the pack. He wants something to break. He wants something to go wrong, and Skeen is doing exactly what he needs to do, staying clean, staying away from everybody, and just go drive away.
Misha Goikerberg makes a slight mistake there as he comes out of 10B, but he's okay now. But he's lost a place, I think, to Franklin Futrell, as Mike Skeen doing a phenomenal job in that first lap of gapping the rest of the field. And now Matos is under pressure from Cameron Lawrence. Lawrence looks to the inside, now to the outside. Misha Goikerberg has to defend. Here comes Futrell. This is a great start for this race, and Rafa Matos may be having plans to try and catch Mike Skeen, but he's got enough on his plate trying to keep everybody behind him right now, including Cameron Lawrence, who's all over him.
Yeah, those teammates don't want to fight too hard right now, because as they're doing that, Mike Skeen is driving away. He's already gotten a point there for leading the first lap of the race, so definitely thinking points if I'm Rafa Matos. I want to get by my teammate. I want to get some clean laps so I can get to the bumper of Mike Skeen.
Well, we couldn't get closer to the action. We're on board, we're on the drones, and we've got great racing drivers with us to describe the action. Boris Said is also in the background. We'll get him in here in a while as well, because he was out there a couple of weeks ago at TA2 and has been out there on the track this weekend. On board with Cameron Lawrence as he exits turn 7. What's the key here, Andy, to try to make a pass into 10?
Turn 7 is always the first place on the track to get greasy. You've got to really get that car pointed and put that power down. TA2 cars have a good amount of torque coming off that corner, and they do not have traction control. So you've got to be smooth and smart and still be right on the edge of the aggressive that you need to get off that. There's still a fast top end here, so you've got to stay in the draft, and you've got to be able to push to get by going into turn A.
So some aggressive
10A.
racing early on, and the field starting to spread out as we look down from the drone. Here comes Lawrence again on Rafa Matos, and Matos doesn't need this attention right now. He really wants to focus. How hard is it to focus on your own rhythm, Ryan, when you've got a guy right up your tail?
Yeah, we see the number 2 car coming down pit lane here, but right, you don't want to be fighting off your teammate while you're trying to catch the leader in a championship hunt. So, I mean, Cameron's out here. He's had a great year. He's had some strong runs, so obviously he's trying to capitalize on his own thing. But right now you can see Rafa's just trying to break free to get away and try to catch up to that Mike Skeen.
Yeah, number 2, Aaron Pierce it is, coming into the pit lane, and that's not a good sign. No pit stops expected in this 100-mile sprint, but the field now starting to spread out. Peterson in the mid-pack there, just behind Goikerberg. And a good start also from Jet Nolan in the 66, the youngster. He's ahead of Futrell is in 5th place at the moment, but it's Mike Skeen pulling away at the front as we go back on board with Doug Peterson.
Yeah, Doug Peterson's a long-time racer in the Trans Am series and has been a big proponent helping a lot of young drivers get some opportunities. I believe recently Paul Tracy was a part of that program with
another
him.
young driver
another young
coming
guy
along.
to
He's probably got some potential.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But my producer Andy Lally just reached over and reminded me that Cameron Lawrence is driving Rafa Matos' old car.
That's right.
They are not
teammates
anymore. So now I'm like, yeah, get him, Cameron. Mess up this championship and go out there and try to get you a trophy today.
Well, Paul Tracy broke the rules. He brought some sort of chrome horn with him. I don't know why.
It's a new invention.
Yes.
Yes. Very useful.
He's used it before.
It looks like Misha Goikerberg, who is really trying to figure out how to deal with Franklin Futrell, might have lost a spot there in that battle, and Franklin finding himself all alone now, so we'll see if he can settle into a rhythm qualifying speed he had before.
Just trying to look at the gap that Skeen has got already, and the difference, 2.2 seconds to Rafa Matos, so Matos has got plenty of time, but Cameron Lawrence is all over him. Meanwhile, Peterson's also got a lot of attention as the 96 goes a little bit squirrely as he comes through those S's, but holds it all together. Connor Mosak, one of the youngsters coming through. And that's what I like about this, guys. You've got real good experience in the likes of Skeen and Matos, and yet you've got youngsters who may be on the way to NASCAR before we know.
Without a doubt, this is a great training ground for NASCAR, for an Xfinity Series. If you've got aspirations to be running trucks or Xfinity or Cup, and you know, especially in these coming years, that the road course races are going to be added and growing and growing. We've got 6 or 7 between Xfinity and Cup each for 2021, and it's going to be getting better and better. This is an excellent place to come and prove your worth, get some experience, and put some laps under your belt here.
That first sort of salvo, when you're just starting a race, you know you've got a long way to go, but when do you kind of take a breath and go, okay, right, now I start to strategize?
This is Trans Am racing. This is, you've got plus or minus an hour here, depending on how crazy it gets between green flag laps and whatnot. You have got to go when the green flag drops, and the only thing you're thinking about is driving the lap as fast as you can to within what that tire's going to hold. So if you think we're going to have yellows and you can drive at 99.99%, but in 45 minutes you're going to trash your tires, you're going to have nothing for that last 10. If you've got a track that is pretty decent percentage chance of getting a yellow at past the halfway point, you've got to be smart with that. So you got to dial it down to 99% until there's a position available. If you got to sit in 5th, 6th, 7th and ride for a little bit and let those guys in front of you see them battling, you can chill a little bit. But the moment a hole opens up, you got to go for it, because it is not easy to pass in this series. We've got a pretty tight grid here, and if someone makes a mistake, you got to be ready to pounce.
Yeah, and one of the things that unique for this weekend, because this is a doubleheader, you also need to set as fast a lap time as possible, so tomorrow you can grid up in a nice place. So we're looking at some of these guys going, I got to use these tires while I still have them, but I also want to be here at the end of the race.
Absolutely. Right now we're looking at Cameron Lawrence with fastest lap, Matos third, and that puts Skeen, Matos second and Skeen third. Skeen doesn't want to have to worry about this. He wants to be able to finish 5th or better today. If he does that, he can go have a free-for-all tomorrow and go have a lot of fun with it and drive that thing flat out. Today, he's doing a pretty amazing job at controlling this field, yet in the back of his mind, he's thinking leave just enough on the table that I can almost guarantee no mistakes.
Yeah, and it's a good point you make. Today, I think, is almost more important as we go on board with Lawrence through 6 and coming up to 7. But I think today's more important for those going for the championship, for the simple reason that tomorrow is all 5 classes and anything can happen. You've got so many cars out on track, and from your time with Petit Le Mans, Andy, there's no real, once you get that many cars over that much time, it just all kind of lulls into one, and you're constantly overtaking slower cars.
Not just that many cars, but that many classes with that many cars. So right now, TA2 is spoiled as that they've got great grid sizes, over 25, 26 cars, so they get their own track time. Tomorrow, when we're going to have 50 some odd cars on the track. You're going to have the fastest cars in TA2 be catching the back of the TA field, and that happens in almost every class across the board in all sorts of sports car racing. And there is where you see guys in very unusual spots potentially make mistakes because they're so far out of their element of catching or needing to get by in like drastic measures. Like if there's still a championship on the line or a position even is between 2nd, 3rd, 4th, you're going to see guys make some crazy lunges tomorrow.
Andy, you've driven a lot of two-frame stock cars. What kind of brake bias adjustments are you going to be making throughout the run here?
So the brake bias adjustments that you're going to do is going to depend on the heat of the day and what that rear tire does. When you've got a two-frame car like this with these brakes, you're going to probably actually be migrating a little bit to the front. You know, as the weight comes off, as the fuel burn comes off, and as those rear tires wear more than the fronts, you're going to tend to lean a little bit more on that front. You might not get as much pitch, but if you, depending on the tire, like we had a different manufacturer, I won't mention the name, other than Pirelli, but in another series that I was running, that we'd get half an hour in a run and you're dialing forward on the bias because the rears, that's just what failed on the tire first. It had good lateral grip, but you could not brake really well with it, so you'd constantly see that come off.
Good battle here that we're seeing from above. Misha Goikerberg doing all the defending he can with Thomas Merrill right there with him as they go into 12 and past our commentary position. And it's nip and tuck, and he's trying every which way to get past. Misha Goikerberg, though, doing a good job as we get another battle here up the hill between Rafa Matos and Cameron Lawrence as Lawrence squeezes through. Has he made it stick? Yes!
Yeah, that was
nice
awesome.
move.
Cameron on the outside of turn 1. That is a tough place to. A super well-seasoned vet for the TA2 class, as well as Matos, and obviously there's definitely a little bit more competition than normal because those guys used to drive the same car and they want to prove who's the better guy out here this weekend.
Yeah, of course, Rafa Matos won the championship in this very car effectively for Doug Peterson and the three-dimensional services crew. And of course, he not struggled, but he hasn't had the same kind of season this year. And he started winning at Kota last time out, and this is a place where he got his first TA2 win and won the championship, of course. So, and he's won the last 2 races here at Road Atlanta. So Rafa definitely came in here with his tail high, and he won't have liked that pass by Cameron, not at all. Will he come back at him here at 10? He's not close enough.
Yeah, meanwhile, Franklin Futrell's coming up here
Really
on
good.
the bumper of Matos, who's obviously, like we mentioned, a former champion here in the series. So that's great for Franklin, but right now, championship is starting to slip away as we see Mike Skeen working on lap number 8, and his pace is pretty relentless, only about 2/10 off of his fastest lap on this last time by start-finish line. So he's not really letting up, and he definitely has been told by his crew now that he's got a little bit of a cushion back to Rafa Matos in P3.
And this will be an interesting next couple of laps, too, because obviously Cameron and Matos were going at it pretty hard. They were probably slowing each other down a little bit. We're going to see over these next 2 laps if Franklin was catching up just because they were battling, or if he's coming on now and he's getting more and more used to these cars as each lap he does goes by. Obviously, he's very well versed in the hazards of Road Atlanta, but he's still learning these TA2 cars. It's great to see him this far up after a great qualifying in P3, but still holding on to the coattails of 2 past champions, 2 past multi-time race winners here. So if he can settle in here, learn a little bit from these 2, and put it to him in the last half of the race, it'll be really good battle.
Yeah, we were just watching Franklin Futrell there. I spoke to him last night, and he was so keyed about being here. Really enjoyed the fact that he got up to 3rd place in his first Trans Am race. He's from Augusta, Georgia, and his dad brought him here as a kid, and he's followed Trans Am racing all his life, and so this is a big thrill for him just to be out there with these guys. But a track he knows well, as you said, he's done Skip Bargatt's schools here, so he knows the track like the back of his hand.
Yeah, looking at the lap times, he's one of the fastest cars on track. Consistently, the only car that's been the same speed or a little quicker has been Mike Skeen, but last time by, he had Mike Skeen by about 4/10. So, he's doing a great job of running right with these championship regulars. Riding on board with Cameron Lawrence here, still running up there in the top of the field. We got a car off here at the outside of turn 3.
Now that's interesting.
And that might be a lap car.
Let's, we'll keep an eye on that because that could be, it first of all could cause a safety car to come out, which won't help Cameron Lawrence's quest, but it won't also help Mike Skeen, who's done all the hard work and will have to slow down, and Rafa Matos might just have a wry Brazilian smile on his face when he sees that situation in its car.
It's Ray
26.
Evernham.
Oh.
On his TA debut.
He said he wanted to get some laps. That's not the way to do it.
Yeah, it looks like he's definitely backed it into the wall and then spun around because the wing has definitely been kinked a little bit. And he's definitely stuck there.
Yeah,
so
he's got the rear wheels stuck in the dirt as well. So
yeah, depending on how hard he went in, that wing is off there, so he might have actually knocked that rear end a little bit out. Ray is a very enthusiastic participant in these SVRA races and builds some pretty crazy cars. I was pretty psyched to see him show up here and try his hand at the TA2 event.
And do you think he's trying it out for what he's doing with his own series, just to sort of see, because it's a similar car, right?
It looks like a similar car. I think it'll probably perform more like a TA car, but we are full course yellow. Is that right,
Yep.
Ryan? Yep. Full course yellow here.
Well, tell you what, while we've got a break in the action, I can see Boris said in the corner of my eye, why don't we get him in and see what the conditions are like out there, because he's been amongst it. Ryan, do you want to just pop out for a second and get Boris's take on this? We've got a bit of time, probably a mate of yours stuck out there, but what is the track running like at the moment?
I mean, right now, I mean, the track today, you know, when you have full fuel load in the beginning, it's easy to hurt the tires. So I was surprised to see Mike Skeen go out so hard, because in the TA2 car, the chance of getting a full course yellow by their past races is high. You know, they never seem to go green the whole way. So now he's really, you know, he's burned his car down a little bit with that 3.5-second lead he had. So it's going to be interesting to see if Matos and Cameron were saving their cars, saving their tires, and now it just gets reset. So that 3.5 seconds is gone.
Now, you're a TA man, but you did have a go with Keith Prochuk's TA2 2 weeks ago. How was that?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, this is a lot more competitive than TA1 right now. It's a really deep field. Unfortunately, my debut was, you know, it was a 30-lap race, but they only had 12 laps under green, so the pace car did better than I did, I think. But went from the back to ninth, so it wasn't bad. You know, I only knew about 15 minutes before the race, but it's a lot of fun. You know, these cars are great. But right now, I think after this, you know, the tires can go the whole way now. I mean, they'll drive like they're qualifying.
Yeah.
Our TA1 race today, basically, we didn't save the tires at all. We were just hammered down the whole time.
You had an interesting race. You were like 1 minute very close to overtaking, and then suddenly you drifted and came back again at the end.
Yeah, I mean, when you're running with different cars, different classes, you know, the TA1 cars are quite a bit faster than the GT cars. So if you catch a car at the wrong spot, like in turn 3, there's no way to go by them until you get to the exit of turn 5. So you could either gain a lot of time or lose a lot of time. And it kind of, Dreesy was catching a guy and then getting stuck, and I'd catch up, and then I'd catch a guy. So it's kind of like a little slinky going on there for a while, but it usually works out to be pretty fair.
Now, Boris, you're my barometer. You're my hero. Have I got a couple of decent drivers next to me here?
Yeah, I mean, I've raced against these guys a lot.
You have?
Are
they any good?
Well, he's crazy. I mean,
okay.
I've seen the street lose. He wants to get in the ring and do kickboxing and ultimate fighting and get his brain kicked in. But then he can drive a race car pretty good, too. So I've known him for, 30 years. We've been driving together.
It has been Boris is a guy that has been a hero of mine for many years, and I first got to race side by side with him about 15 years ago in the GT class, and we had a good scrap at Phoenix. It's been an absolute pleasure to be even just on the track with a guy like that. I used to go around, and when he was running Trans Am, I'd stick my head under the tent. I would go bother people. If you've listened to the Dinner with Racers show with Ryan, you can hear silly stories about what I used to do as a kid. Boris has an episode on there too, right? Which is extremely entertaining. And so does, unfortunately, the reason we're under caution. I want to make a quick mention. I heard Boris saying it in the background here. Misha and Thomas Merrill were having a great battle here.
Yes.
And Thomas ended up getting by to stick it back in the top 5 here. That's your outside pole sitter for tomorrow. He's only 100th off Cameron Lawrence, and he's gone from where did he qualify today? He's 14th today on the grid, and now he's going to be starting on the outside of the front row. So really interesting development there. Just 1/100th of a second off of Cameron Larson, and a couple hundredths back of that is Rafa Matos.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race tomorrow. Like I said, there's going to be traffic out there. You're going to be out there too. How do you play such a? VIR was that way. I mean, how do you play it?
You know, VIR, the traffic's a little different. It's easier to get by at VIR than here. You know, here from 3 to 5, it's impossible to get by. You know, the long straightaway is really easy to get by. So it's really just the luck of the draw, and it just requires a lot of patience and respect, because the GT cars they're racing. You know, I've been in the fastest class and in the slowest class, and it's just as hard. So you kind of got to respect the slower cars because they're racing just as hard as we are. But it'll definitely make it action-packed. I think the TA2 guys are a little more like a pack of Dobermans with hand grenades in their mouths, so I don't know if they'll have the patience that some of the TA1 guys have.
I hope
so
not. Let's see.
I would highly doubt it's going to go all green tomorrow.
Yeah, good point. Well, if you're tuning in around the world, we have Andy Lally, we have Ryan Eversley, and you're listening to the words of Boris Said, who will be racing tomorrow in this hand grenade-ridden race. He's got a few hand grenades of his own. We're watching Ray Everingham, unfortunately, who's hit the wall, and I don't think has done any damage, so I think it's been a case of just getting his car out of the way, and then we can get underway.
You know, Ray's an interesting guy. I raced with him in the Pro-Am race in SVRA a few years ago. We won at VIR, and he brought this car he built called the Ghost. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that's one of the fastest cars I've ever driven in my life. It's unbelievable.
Why did he call it the Ghost?
That's his name. They call it the Ghost. You could Google it. There'll be pictures of the Ghost. It's an incredible car. It's faster than a Trans Am TA1 car for sure. But I told Ray, I go, you know what, your biggest problem is you're too competitive, and that's your biggest asset. The guy he eats, sleeps, breathes, lives, and loves racing. And he's always trying to figure out the shortcut or out-engineer somebody, and he just builds
Didn't
the
figure that
trickiest
shortcut
stuff.
out.
Well, he's just getting his feet wet. He's never been a driver. He's an
know.
engineer, and he changed the sport of NASCAR.
Yes.
Before Ray Evernham, the pit stops were 30 seconds. He was the first guy to bring in athletes to do pit stops and got down to 14, 15, 16-second stops. He was the first guy to bring scales and engineering into NASCAR and completely rewrote the history of NASCAR in that way. He's just an amazing guy, and he wants to be a driver. He's starting to get seat time, and I would never count him out.
Yeah, good point. Well, I've just been heard from race control that we're going back to racing after this caution period, because we've got Ray back out on track, or at least we've got the track back to full fettle, so to speak. So those lights on that safety car should go out.
Boris, I got a question for you. Lights are out on the safety car. As they're coming to green here, how are these tires once they're heat cycled? Is this going to be a sketchy restart, or are they pretty decent?
No, the tires are decent, and I think this is like Indy. At the end of the day, the track's cool, the sun's down. I think this is when you're going to see the fastest laps on this restart.
Okay, pace car comes in, and here we go. Restart. Mike Skeen's got to do it all again. Cameron Lawrence now chasing him. Rafa Matos wants that place back, and he wants it now as they go down the main straight. Somebody going wide there onto the dust and dirt. But up the inside goes Lawrence. Rafa can't do anything about it, and Skeen holds that lead.
Futrell to the inside to challenge Matos for P3. Can he stick it in a really tough spot? I think he backs off, thinks better of it, and gets in line here to go. Oh, he got it! He did get it!
Oh, Rafa is going to be getting that Latin blood boiling. That's twice he's been done there. And that is not how Rafa races. Rafa gets revenge as quickly as he can. But not a good restart then for Rafa Matos. He's been beaten up twice there by once Cameron Lawrence and now Franklin Futrell, who like that scalp for sure.
And really clean.
Yes, more importantly, yeah.
Cameron Lawrence looks like he really wants to get by Skeen, though. He's not going to wait.
Well, they've got, Skeen, I've watched Skeen all season, and when Skeen gets the lead, he doesn't relinquish it. He had one bad moment at Road America where he was involved in that big incident. Rafa Matos went on to win, but they red flagged it and put it back a lap, which he got the win because of it. But once he gets the lead and gets in the zone, it's really hard to stop him. It's Cameron Lawrence underbraking into 10A.
But he doesn't need to win the Locker Championship upright, so he could finish second and just win his championship.
Good point.
So that's got to be on his mind today.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about it. Risk and reward, as you just mentioned, there's not a lot of places. It's tight out there. These are big muscle cars, and if you make a mistake, and we've seen it happen so often, it's all over. Misha Goikerberg still going strong. Good field, good strong field, and it's great to see so many entries in this TA2 class as we go back on board with Cameron Lawrence. The sun going down, how does that affect you when you're going down here?
At Road Atlanta, this place is tough. As you dip down into the S's, which is probably one of the most challenging corners in North America, because you can't see that in almost all cars. It's almost flat or just flat either way. When you stick the sun in your eyes going down into those S's, and especially, now in November, which is unusual for us to be, there's no leaves on the trees there, so the sun actually gets to you even earlier. It's always in your eyes coming out of 5, but now, later in the season, it's even worse going down into those S's.
It's actually yesterday we qualified late, and right now going into 3, the sun's starting to get in your eyes, and going into 5, it's in your eyes. So I'm surprised I didn't see any tape on any of the windshields as late as they're running, but it's definitely going to play a factor.
Yeah, and I was worried, given that we're coming here in November, that the cold conditions, because you expect cold conditions at this time of the year, but somehow we've just got this Indian summer where it's been 70s throughout most of the weekend. And I guess, Boris, it really hasn't been a factor, has it?
No, it hasn't been a factor. The cars love this temperature. It's a perfect temperature.
Somebody's smoking heavily, and it's not a cigar. Oh, there's damage to
Thomas Merrill.
Thomas Merrill's
was
car.
Running so good. Must have gotten into it with Matos, I'm going to guess.
Oh, damage big time to the 81. And
if he can shed that fender before it blows the tire, he's going to be fine.
So how long has he got?
A lot of smoke.
I think exiting turn 5, if he uses all the curbs, he'll have a good chance to rip that off.
Right.
Now there's the inside knowledge I wanted. Oh, dear.
That's
Great
what he
stuff.
needs to think, though. He's got to go at it. He's in the top 5. He's starting out outside pole tomorrow. He can fix this.
But how much damage
We got a
is he
car
doing to
off
that
and
tire?
in the wall in turn 1 right now.
All right,
We're
turn 1, we got
backing
an accident.
out.
We got another car coming into the pits.
The
So it's all
17 is in
happening.
the pit lane.
The 17 in the pit lane, that is Mark Brumman coming in. He's had a busy day. We've got a car off of 1, as you quite rightly point out. Oh, that's a big off.
Chris Durbin, that's who's in the wall here. Unfortunately, we are.
Yeah.
So now they're going to re-rack him again.
Yes.
You know, Mike Skeen keeps getting away. He's got to be wondering, like, why can't it just go green
I know.
in this championship?
Now, what would you do in this position then?
He needs to go down into turn 10 and run over the curbs and try to knock that off. Or I'd knock it off on this guy's car.
On Mr. Borkenberg. Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah, or go find the guy that did it to you and go knock it off on his car.
Oh, yes, Brumman in trouble. That does not look happy. So the race continues for now. And they're going past the incident.
Yeah, I think we're going to stay green here.
Wow, that's surprising. But anyway, doesn't matter. We loving this, and through they come. And this was expected to be a dramatic race, and it's proving to be so. But for Mike Skeen, it's just the worst possibility for him because he's up and down like a yo-yo in terms of trying to concentrate and build that lead. Now, what can you see, boys? Has he got it clean?
That said, we're 26 minutes into this race. He's out front, and he just set his fastest lap of the race. So that's going to move him up for tomorrow. It's going to get him closer. He's probably now just on the outside of the second row, and who knows, maybe he's got more left.
Well, the interesting thing is that Franklin Fuchel in his first ever Trans Am race could potentially get a podium here if he sticks to it.
The TA2 car, because of the horsepower, they'll definitely set their fastest laps when the fuel is the lightest. So we still got some time, but I think the lap times will keep coming down.
We had some oil spill from Ernie Francis Jr. in the TA class yesterday, and it was a little bit messy there towards the end of the evening. They did a good job of cleaning it up.
We are full course yellow.
Yeah, we are full course
Just
yellow.
to make a quick note there, Franklin Futrell was on the bumper of Cameron Lawrence. Another quick lap from him right before we went yellow there. We definitely have 3 guys going for this race win now.
So we cool it down again. Cameron Lawrence will live to fight another day, as it were. And there's the damage to the 81 of Thomas Merrill, and it really doesn't look too bad now, but he's going slower now at the moment, so he's not quite using the car, swaying it from side to side as he might.
The big thing is that smoke coming from the body, or is it coming from it rubbing on his tire and putting a big crease in his tire?
That's a good point.
You know, you put a lot of load on that left front tire coming down this hill.
So we are all packed together again, high above the Brazelton Hills here in Georgia, one of the most iconic circuits in motor racing. We've got some great experts to give us an insight. They've all raced here at Road Atlanta. Is it one of your favorites, guys?
It's one of my favorites. I think I was counting up my wins, and I've had more wins here than any other racetrack. So,
wow.
So it's always been a good track.
Yep.
This is definitely this has been heartbreak here, but also some good adventures.
What happened to Petit Le Mans this time?
I just last month we finished 3rd here. Made a pass for the final podium spot with just maybe 5 minutes of green flag racing left under the lights there, and had a blast. So last time I was here was a good time, but I've had plenty of heartbreak. This place can really put you back. In fact, the month before that, my teammate didn't make it through the S's after he got punted by a prototype car. So it's always an easy up and down session here, man. It's one of the most challenging racetracks to put a fast lap in. It's a gutsy place.
Yep.
You've got to really bring it in turn 1. You've got to bring it down the S's, and it's always a little bit of a gut check coming down through turn 12 to the checkered flag.
And we are commentating from the Andy Lally Suite here at the new tower, which is nice that they named it after you.
That's
very
nice
good.
of them. Yeah.
That's a mess, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's not coming home.
So we saw there was one car in the wall that had backed out. I thought he got away, but obviously not.
All this action, it's not even halfway. So I think it's going to get a little more heated.
Now, listen, I was talking to your son, and he thought he did a good job, but I want to know from Maestro, how did the boy do?
I thought he did great. You know, I mean, to come here, which is one day of testing on a track without any other cars on it, to get out there, I mean, he did a really good job. He was ahead of where I thought he'd be, and hasn't put a wheel wrong yet. He's got one more day tomorrow, hopefully.
Good.
And it's It's been a lot of fun, but it's been nerve-wracking. I haven't been nervous at a race since I qualified for my first NASCAR race, and today I was a basket case. So it was so
great.
different.
Yeah, well, watch out for the number 78 Miata out in action tomorrow. It's red, white, and blue. Boris said not quite as tall, but the same hair, the same look, and the same drive and determination. By the looks of it, we do have a chip off the old block. And Thomas Merrill is kind of wounded at the moment as he tries to. Yeah, well, let's get back. Let's get Ryan back in again and take your take on this. First of all, Thomas Merrill, I'm sure you probably know him. And what are your thoughts on what he should do with the car? Boris says run it over 10 and get rid of the bodywork.
Well, I think Boris and Andy both had the same kind of idea. Figure out who gave that to you in the first place and then give it back.
Yeah.
And I can't disagree with that. We should probably give Thomas Merrill some love, though. I mean, the guy really has kind of been a bit of a journeyman with his career.
Yep.
We all know him on the pro side from being a great instructor and coach and as fast as anybody. But this year alone, he's been able to be competitive in the LMP3 category over in another series as well as over here in TA2. So really showing a skill set that in a tube frame or a prototype, he is fast and a threat. And so seeing a guy like that get the credit he deserves has been really good. And on the other side of that, poor Chris Durbin. Chris making his TA2 debut this weekend. We were teammates at Thunder Hill a couple years ago. We keep up fairly regularly. He was here a couple weeks ago in his SCCA car it's kind of similar. And he was looking for a bit better of a result. And hopefully he'll be back because he qualified very well for his first time in Trans Am.
I got a question, Andy, for you. In terms of, we talk about the tube frame and obviously, versus a production car. Forget the gizmos. That's what the appeal of these cars is. You don't have those gizmos, so you don't have those extra helps. Sometimes that's fun. Sometimes you kind of think, what the hell is it? Where's the brakes and stuff? But what about the actual chassis compared to a production car or a sports racing car, IMSA car? How does that feel when you're racing? Versus this?
It's going to be a combination of everything. The tire that you're on, the rigidity of the chassis, the downforce that body is going to make. It's got to be the whole package that you're going to have to consider because you can drive one tube frame car in one series and then hop to another tube frame car in another series. The weight in the TA2s is pretty low. The tire's very good. The CG is very low. Like when you get a lot of guys like at Road America that show up that are going to do the Xfinity race there and they jump into a TA2 car, it's definitely not exactly the same. The CG is super high in the Xfinity cars. There's a lot more power and torque. Downforce is actually pretty similar. The tire is actually a little bit bigger on the NASCAR side, but you can abuse the Pirelli tire a little bit more. So it's back and forth, but it is a very well built and well logically thought out class that TA2 has evolved into, and that's why we're seeing big grids. When you can put excellent racing on the track that doesn't cost millions of dollars, you're going to get good quality drivers in there, and you're going to get great guys like Doug Peterson, who fields two cars. He drives one for himself, but then his company sponsors another driver, and they've helped out guys like Rafa Matos. They've got Cameron Lawrence in the car. They're producing young champions that are going to go on, and in years to come now, when they have big success in other series, they're gonna look back and really, really enjoy their time and hopefully stay and come back. I mean, Trans Am, TA2, this class is so deep with talent that I just keep seeing this growing and growing as probably one of the best pound-for-pound classes that you can get in and learn your dogfight and get at it.
I spoke with Mark Miller earlier about just his time in TA2 to kind of get an idea of what I was going to expect as a commentator here today, and he had told me that it's one of the most enjoyable cars he's ever raced and that his time in the TA2 to do it over and over again. So if Mark says it's good, that means it's probably really, really good. So it's cool to see that guys like Doug Peterson are supporting these drivers and some of the sponsors that are on board this weekend, they're actually putting pros in seats. We love seeing that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I've got a feeling that someone like Scott Buschetta might just do similar. He's betting himself into TA2, and of course he still does SVRA, but he's the kind of guy, he likes to help the youngsters. He's already helping some, and I think he'll do more of that, and maybe he'll do a similar to Peterson down the road.
Yeah, and that's the Big Machine Vodka, right? Yeah, and I mean, so cool to see guys take that because we've got an affordable series, and because we do that, it's not such a big deal to put a second car on the track.
Correct.
Of course, it is it's cubic dollars is cubic dollars, but they do such a good job here at being able to do that and giving people, you just don't see that much anymore. And this series provides the ability for gentlemen to do that and provide a potential new career path for young up-and-coming drivers.
Well, we just found out from race control that the safety car is staying out one more lap, and I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. Mike Skeen leading the race from Cameron Lawrence. Franklin Prattrell from Augusta, Georgia, in his first Trans Am race, is on a podium position at the moment in third. Rafa Matos has been knocked out of second place. He's down to fourth at the moment. Misha Goikerberg behind him in fifth. Thomas Merrill in sixth place, but a damaged car. Connor Mosak, the youngster, in seventh position. Edward Savajian of Dallas, Texas, in eighth. Jet Nolan, another one of the youngsters, in ninth position. And J.P. Southern, a man who's just joined the championship from single-seater racing. J.P. having a problem in the practice test day the other day. But guys, again, you know, we as commentators sit here and talk about what we're seeing on screen, which is people weaving from side to side, and we obviously explain that that's keeping the tires warm and trying to keep them up to optimal temperature, which is pretty hard to do when the sun's going down. But give me a little bit more of an insight of the systems checks, maybe what you talk to your engineer about or what you strategize about, because it is a long time, and it's a rare time, because it's time for you to actually rethink your race.
You've got to think about what the state of tire, what's the condition of your tires right now? How did they feel on the last restart? Did I have them up to temp? Did I over temp them? So you're not only trying to keep the tires warm here, and that's what you see with the guys sliding side by side and cranking on the wheel. You're braking at the same time because you do not want the brakes to cool all the way down and heat back up. You want the brakes to be at the proper temp, and you want the tires to be at the proper temp. And you have to do all of this while not driving through the marbles and picking up a bunch of junks that as soon as you get up to speed, you don't have this gigantic vibration, and then slide your way to the outside of turn one and pick up more marbles. At that point, you're just going to keep losing positions. That is very tricky to do when you're at weekends that run a bunch of different kinds of tire compounds and a bunch of different makes and models here. And so, especially as this track is cooling down and it lets those tires cool down faster, you've got to stay on top of that.
Yeah, one of the big things that I don't think people realize is that weaving back and forth definitely keeps your tires clean and keeps some pressure up, but accelerating and braking really hard under these pace laps is what you were just seeing. Cameron Lawrence was there on the in-car. That's the ticket right there. You want to gas and brake, make sure everything's hot. We've already had a couple restarts here, so if you had a restart before, maybe you went through turn 12 and you were a little loose, or you had a big understeer, you realized you didn't get the pressures where you needed them. Now you're probably going to work them a little bit harder or maybe a little bit less depending on how the last restart went. Also, if you're Cameron Lawrence, you got to see where Mike Skeen took off. We had a pretty tight, close restart that last time, so maybe you're going to give yourself a little bit of room so you can accelerate past him and not be on his bumper as much. But the safety car coming into turn 10 here, and I think we're going to
the lights are off, so we are going racing now.
Guys, how close Cameron Lawrence is on Mike Skeen's bumper. He was literally pushing him before they went green on that last one. We'll see if Franklin in the same spot can do it.
Here we go, the restart for the race starting to go, and away goes Mike Skeen leading the race. Cameron Lawrence right behind him. Can he get past? He's going for the inside move.
Yeah, Franklin
Matos jinks to the inside as well.
Franklin Prattrell going to try to pull the outside move there, side by side with Cameron through turn one.
That would be an upset. Prattrell going up the hill, almost side by side with Cameron Lawrence. Over the crest they go, down towards three. And he's done him.
Wow.
That's twice he's done that. That is track knowledge, boys.
Yeah, Cameron Lawrence there sliding a little bit wide coming off of three as well, so he's definitely faded back a little bit. Franklin pushing pretty hard through the S's, almost runs out of road at the bottom of the S's, so they're all of them going for it. Meanwhile, Mike Skeen loving the fact that he's got a rookie behind him in the series because he's probably thinking that's going to help keep Cameron Lawrence at bay for a little bit, as we still have quite a bit of ways to go here.
Andy, have you tried that move?
That is impressive, not just from the fact that the outside of turn one in itself at Road Atlanta is super challenging. Passing somebody on the outside is super challenging. Passing a past champion and one of the most wins in a TA2 car in the history is an incredible feat. Doing it in your first race is absolutely unheard of.
Primo confidence as they come down to 10. Still damage to Thomas Merrill, but it doesn't look to be affecting him now. He's managed to kind of right it somehow in the 81. And
the lack of smoke coming off of that tire for the last lap before we went yellow, I think gave him the confidence to stay out there, try not to worry about it. He probably can't even see it, so he's just trying to get it done here.
Now, I'm going to keep a rough eye on Rafa Matos in 4th place because he will want to make some laps up here. The championship is on the line, and he needs to catch Mike Skeen, and he needs to catch him fast. Time is running down. We have a sunset showdown at the saloon that is Braselton, Georgia. Who is going to take it? There's some sharpshooters out there.
Yeah, good to see Aaron Pierce moving back up through the field after having to come down pit lane earlier for some sort of mechanical trouble. So he's back out there. He's back in the race. These yellows are definitely helping out some of the cars that had some issues. I imagine Thomas Merrill's appreciating it as well, as his right front tire might have a little bit less laps it's going to have to do under green for the rest of this as we go. 18 laps to go.
Yeah, still a long way to go when you think about it. That's a heck of a long way to go. That's a full race in many series. So they've already been under the cosh and under some pretty heavy racing so far. And as you pointed out earlier, guys, there really isn't a lot of time. It really, truly is. It's like I used to do athletics. It's like a 400-meter race. It's like 4 100-meter races. There is no time to stop, but you still need to save enough energy just in case somebody comes at you in the last 100 meters.
Absolutely. This is, I tell you, who's in the catbird seat right now? Misha Goikberg. He's run a very clean race. He was very scrappy in the beginning of the race. He's settled now into the top 5, but boy, he's got some real marks in front of him here. Matos has the bit back in his teeth, and he looks like where before he was falling back, now he's moving back forward. He's going to be pressuring Cameron here, and then Cameron in turn is pressuring our rookie Franklin, and then everybody's chasing Mike Skeen.
Yeah, Franklin looks like he's pushing a little bit harder than some of the other guys coming off the corners. You can see he's really sliding the rear of that car, and he's going to have to keep those tires in mind because 18 laps around Road Atlanta is no easy feat, even in a shorter race. So if he's going to burn those things down, I think Cameron Lawrence is going to use a little bit of his wisdom and experience, which is funny because Cameron's also a baby, and yet he's probably thinking to himself, okay, I got to let Franklin burn his stuff down, and I'll take advantage of it at the end.
When you, something I just want to point out, watching Cameron's in-car here, looking forward to Franklin, he was on the exit of turn 5, which is the shortcut. Guys that know Road Atlanta really well get very brave in a couple of spots, and that's one, using the thin little curb at the very bottom of the S's to square up for turn 5, and then 2 is doing the rodeo at the exit of turn 5, having all 4 tires. On the restart, 5 turns into the restart, he was sideways over those curbs, and just now he cleared the curbs, got to the access road, which not a lot of cars and definitely not a lot of drivers can do that without shooting back across the inside wall. He's on it.
He is totally on it. Really impressive. Misha Goikberg is coming into the pits, and that's a really sad move. Here comes Cameron Lawrence, making a move though. Can't quite pull it off and actually loses time and goes sideways there almost.
Yeah, they're definitely pushing each other pretty hard as we unfortunately see Misha going down pit lane slowly. But I noticed that what I'm seeing out of Franklin right now is the pace is there, the bravery is there, but almost a little bit of driving in the mirror, which can end up hurting you when you're not focused on the task at hand, which is trying to keep up with Mike Skeen, who's out there sailing in the lead and probably loving the fact that Cameron Lawrence and Franklin are side by side and have these corners.
Yeah, exactly.
Misha has left pit lane now. They were just taking grass off the grill. We must have just missed it. He was in a good battle there. I talked about him sitting in the catbird seat. Unfortunately, we got a little grass in the grill, but he's out, back going, and going to stay on the lead lap here. So if we can get another yellow again, he's good to go to pack up and see what he can do to come through the field.
Let me ask tactically, guys, when you are chasing down somebody and you're close, and you think to yourself, you know what, I'm not going to overtake him, I'm going to try to force an error here. Do you look for a corner that you think, if I can just make him think I'm going to try something here, that might made him...
So, not to give away too much of my simple tactics, but one, I will never look in the corner that I actually see the weakness until I'm about to pounce. I'll work it. If I get close and I see the hole, I'm going to go for it, but I'm going to fake and feint moves in the corners that I just want to get out of his mirrors. I just want him to glance backwards and take focus off and cause issues here. The next thing is I'm going to move him. You know, we've got good bumpers on these TA2 cars. I don't want to send them off track because I don't want to drive through. I just want to nicely, gently, maybe under braking into the slowest corner, turn 7.
Coming through, sort of English.
Just an excuse me. Yeah. I'm going to just let you know I'm here. Maybe not push you out of the way, but I'm just going to let him know that I got to his bumper and I can do this when I want to do it. And that freaks guys out more than anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Cameron starts to free up Franklin Futrell if he can get a run on him coming out of 6 into 7, which is the best place to do that. But kind of like Andy was saying, you don't want to give away too many secrets, but Road Atlanta's hard to pass at. A lot of high-speed corners. A lot of these cars are very, very similar in terms of straight line performance, so it's really difficult to get a run out of 7 down the back straightaway. So you're really hoping for a mistake in the S's or somebody getting turn 5 wrong, because turn 5, if you go from the bottom of the S's to the top of turn 5, it's really steep, as we see Matos and Cameron Lawrence getting a little into it, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start putting the bumper on each other.
Well, you know, I saw an overtake today which I'd never seen, which is at turn 7. He went up the inside, and I thought, well, he's lost all the drive now. But he gave him a little tap, a little hip check, and that's what gave him the sort of bounce to get back on the drive, and the other car went off.
Yeah, you can see from this POV here, we've got the top 4 that are moving away from the best of the field. They are been the class of the field all day long, and as our laps wind down here, this is golden hour. This is the time that we're going to see those tires start to fade a little bit. We're going to see mistakes magnified. When you've got really good sticky tires under you, you can come out of turn 5 a little bit sideways and let that Pirelli tire catch you. But once you've been beating it up for almost an hour, the fade, we see a little bounce out of here, and that's the run that we see. We see Cameron maybe seeing the first glimpse of where he's stronger to make a move into turn 6, and he does it to retake P2. That's exactly what I was talking about, where we see that aggression on those tires now start to give way, and we see that fade, and we see the veteran, as like Ryan said, he's still a young guy, he's still got a lot of driving to do, but one of the most successful guys in the history of TA2, make that move and get back on to the second step of the podium there.
That's a beautiful move.
Definitely takes 2 to tango there, and smart and heads-up driving by Franklin Futrell, who's no doubt new to these cars. He might not have the best sight picture of what's around him, and was smart enough to give him room, tuck back in, and not give up the space. If he tried to run side-by-side through 6 and 7, he very likely would have got passed by Rafa Matos. So smart of him to try to keep it on the podium, not give away too much speed as they go down the front straightaway now, and it looks like Matos is definitely putting that pressure on Franklin. So maybe Franklin did burn those tires off.
125.3 by Skeen, 125.5 by Cameron Lawrence. Not much too, and 2/10 between them. So Lawrence will try to put some big laps in now.
Yeah, what's important to point out here is, I mean, we're pretty far into this thing. These guys are running lap times within 2 to 3/10 of the fast lap of the race. So the consistency's there. It's putting on a great package for us to watch.
The air is getting cooler. The fuel tanks are getting lighter, but we are definitely burning these Pirellis off. And as we're going to see higher top speeds, a little better grip in the track as these temps cool down, we are still going to see the guys that are sideways probably start to fade here. And the guys that can learn to, this is Franklin's toughest job, is that how many times has he done a full tank load run? How much testing has he done?
Right, that's a good point.
To know how bad these tires are, what he can do. Cameron knows exactly what to do. Matos obviously knows what to do. Our championship points leader, Mike Skeen, obviously knows what to do in these situations. Franklin is the variable here. He's learning as he's flying through here. He's doing an amazing job with that. That being said, it'll be interesting to see how well he can hold on at the end of this run.
This is obviously probably Franklin's largest accomplishment, running in the top 5 in the Trans Am series. It's his first time in this series. Andy, do you remember the first time you had a podium in sight that you were responsible for? You were the guy bringing it home, and like, what kind of nerves did you have?
My guts were twisting. It was in the USF 2000 series at World Disney World Speedway on the oval, and I was third for almost the whole race, and that was just gut-wrenching. And when that checker finally fell, I realized I don't think I'd been breathing for the last 20 laps. I'm sure Franklin's in a very, very similar spot here, but actually under a whole lot more stress here because he's got amazing talents in this class ahead of and behind him.
Edward Savajian and JP Southern going at it. Edward Savajian, the man from Dallas, Texas, and I think he's going to be...
Savajian last time through turn 12 was completely sideways at the apex.
This is the 2 youngsters, excuse me. That's Mosak and Southern Jr.,
Mosak last time through turn 12, completely sideways, full drift mode, got it together, backed himself up a little bit, and then both of them coming through the S's were on every single curb and half the dirt that they could find. So a lot of hard pushing going on there.
Yeah, and the other youngster with them is Jet Nolan just behind. So we've got the 3 youngsters together on track. learning their craft and doing it well too. It's great to see them. I love the fact that this series involves experience and real youth, and it's going to only help these kids to race against these more experienced drivers.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got. We're talking about, just to go a little deeper in the field, we're talking about Cameron Lawrence and those kinds of vets, but you've got guys, in a 26-car field, Doug Peterson, no spring chicken, very well versed in these TA2 cars. He's driven a lot of everything, and he's running here in the top 10.
Yeah,
and he's doing a super solid job here. It's so cool to see.
And it's not like Pippo Durrani where, you can go down the pit lane and go, oh, hey, Andy, what are you doing at turn 3? It's like, hey, youngster, learn your way. Whereas here, you could go to Doug Peterson or Boris Said and go, how do you do this? And they'd probably tell you.
They might not.
They might not.
And Doug might not even tell him. I'm sure he's sharing that information. I mean, I absolutely guarantee, and I've been in this situation before on both ends now, where, you've got a vet that might not be putting in the fastest lap, but he's still got good knowledge that he can pass on to Cameron. The vets in this series that might not be, gun to the neck and flat out trying to do a pole position setting lap, still have some tidbits and some secrets and some tricks around Road Atlanta.
Talking to Doug Peterson, we're on board with him now.
Yeah, I mean, we got to give a shout out to RJ Valentine, who pretty much taught you everything you know, if I recall correctly.
Absolutely. RJ, another Trans Am vet from way back in the day, and another guy who liked to support young up-and-coming drivers. He was very helpful with me as a young man coming through the ranks, and I owe a lot to him.
Thomas Merrill is doing the best he can here to hang on to that top 5. He's about a couple seconds back now from our top 4 who are running about the same exact gap, but that MCR Ford Mustang definitely seems to be a little bit down on pace since he had the left front contact earlier, and he's trying to make the best of it, but the top 5 has completely checked out.
And these youngsters are going at it. Look at them, side by side, Mosack Southern and Jet Nolan sliding their way to the end of this race and taking each other on. Keith Procek, worth a mention, up to 10th place from the back, and he didn't take part in the Circuit of the Americas race. He had a migraine, and so Boris Said took his car, so he's back in the car, so up to the top 10. So a shout out to Keith, good job done.
I think I'm remembering this as I was going through my quick notes. Southern is actually winning or about to win the Southern Cup. Is that correct?
Yes, correct, yeah.
Very, very
ironic.
Well named, yeah. That's a good one. So shout out to him. Another, again, running P7 here with Mosack and Nolan in a very cool scrap. Probably our best race on the track now, as our leaders have sort of strung out just enough to pull our attention away and look a little further down that top 10.
Yeah, definitely equal gaps now between the top 4 as we see Thomas Merrill struggling to keep up with him with that wounded Mustang. But I got to say, watching those guys battling for 7th there, that's the most fun on the track right now.
Yeah, it does look like it, doesn't it?
Absolutely. 6, 7, and 8 going at it. Here they come.
Yeah, you see him come through 12. A little bit too much curb there every time in the 96 car. It hurts them just a little bit, but they are bumper to bumper into 1. We see a pop to the inside as they single file it back up through 1 up into 3.
Now the Suns, you were talking about the Sun earlier. Now it's really going to be a problem as you come over the top of 2 now, surely.
It is. It's in your eyes. To be honest, in not too long from now, the Sun's going to be lower, and we're going to be good. Yeah, as we see Cameron with a slide out of 5 here. We're seeing all these guys. I'm looking out the window here at turn 12, and these guys are sliding through 12. That is not an easy corner to keep your foot to the floor and coming around here in a very crucial corner to keep that speed onto the front straightaway.
Now he's putting his hand out the window to cool it down, or what's he doing?
He's hot. He's tired. That little thing out the window trips a little bit of air, brings it in. I've done that. It's semi-fruitless. It doesn't really pull a lot of air in, but it sure cools your hand down for a millisecond.
Yeah.
Logically, yes, it definitely helps take a few degrees off, and as you're bored going down the back straightaway, realizing then how hot it is.
Andy, I think you could probably speak to this the best, but it's not that cold out right now. But these cars, it's front engine, the engine's right past your feet, right?
Exactly. So it's probably 55 degrees out right now. There's a chill in the breeze out here, but inside those cars, exactly like you said, you've got a fireproof suit on, you've got fireproof gloves, you've got an insulated helmet, boots, and then you are sitting in a solid seat that really isn't venting that much air. If you're lucky, you've got a helmet blower. If you're really lucky, you've got a cool suit. But there is a monster engine fire breathing right in front of you without a really great firewall that's not like keeping a lot of heat out. Inside these cars, it is hot. These guys are athletes. You might not, if you're new to watching auto racing like that and you're like, he's just turning the wheel left and right, you are under a lot of stress with an adrenaline pop, and then you are under a lot of heat. You've got to keep your heart rate under control, and this is not an easy procedure. Obviously, if you've got a guy flying down a straightaway at 150 miles an hour and his hand's out the window, it's not because for lack of concentrating. He's hot. He needs a little air.
Yeah. Cameron Lawrence just coming off a win in another Pro Series just last weekend at Sebring. So if anybody can get it done, it's him, and he's proven that in this series. But I got to say, my man Misha Goikberg out there, coming back after that unscheduled pit stop, he has been Mr. Excitement. Every time we've seen him come by the window here, he is sideways with somebody, trying to pass him into one. Definitely trying to get as many positions back as possible.
Yeah, we saw a pretty amazing qualifying lap from Mike Skeen, putting it on the pole by 8/10. You just don't see that happen in TA2 too much. If you scroll down through the running order right now, Misha Goikberg is only half a second off of Mike's fastest lap, and he's going to be like 7th. So now, tomorrow, we've now set a grid that is just about solid. I don't think we're going to go any faster now, even though it's getting cooler. These guys have burnt a lot off their tires. You're going to have the top 7, 8, 9 cars within about a half a second, and that's going to prove to be an amazing battle tomorrow.
And this battle for 6 is going to go all the way. The 3 of them have been glued together now for about 8 laps. It's Mosak leading Southern, leading Jet Nolan in the 66, and they are starting to slide heavily. Look, there you go. And they're in control, but they are under pressure, all 3 of them.
Yeah, Jet Nolan there, and the lone Ford in the fight is hoping that these 2 Camaros in front of him end up getting into each other a little bit here, because he's been probably the cleanest that I've seen over the curbs and with the least amount of slides that I've seen. But also, one thing that's starting to happen to every car, including Mike Skeen, people are dropping wheels here and there, and there's grass on the radiators of not only Mike Skeen, but also Cameron Lawrence running P2.
Now, can Jet Nolan get a bit of a slipstream here and maybe jink out? They're certainly close enough where a late braking maneuver at 10 could do it.
Man, with no ABS, this is great because these cars, it extends the brake zone. You see Jet with that candy apple red chassis and 66 moving in on the tail end, especially with 2 cars in front of you. That draft is going to be even bigger. Gets right to their door here. He needs an amazing run out of 5. I know it sounds crazy to set the pass up, at the going into 10A. That starts with your exit of 5. You've got to come out of 5 strong. And you've got to just kind of release the brake into 6 and roll to his bumper. Then release the brake in 7 again. But in 7 now you're focusing on getting to that power coming out of there. Your run into 10A starts out of 5.
That's really amazing.
It is a tough thing to do because you've got to string these corners together. Cars that rely, all cars nowadays are relying on aerodynamics. That's why we're seeing a guy like Mer from that front pack, because it's not just he hasn't just created some more drag. He hasn't just cooled the left front brake down more than the right front. He's lost that downforce that little fender is creating, and that makes a difference. And if that just drops you 0.2 of a second a lap, that's when those top 4 go away.
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of action back here. Looks like Barry Bowes and
right in the
Michelle
middle of it.
Abate going at it. Michelle coming off some really strong races here in the last few weeks and coming into her own in these TA2 cars. Great to see those guys.
I've been watching Michelle this weekend because she's not in her normal own team. She's with BC Racing, Misha Goikberg's team. So that's put her up a level that she's not been at before, which is basically being looked after and being told to drive the car, drive the wheels off it. And talking of driving the wheels off it, a mistake here. And
that is Mike Skeen's teammate. I was just going to mention Mike Skeen. He was coming up on a lapped car. The car off is Drew Neubauer.
Yes, Neubauer, yeah.
And sorry for that mispronunciation. This lap traffic in front of Skeen.
No, we got 6 places on pit lane. Connor Mosak. Is that Connor Mosak coming up pit lane? He's got steam coming out of the hood. And we got Matos is off as well, coming out of 5.
Wow, it's all happening here in the closing stages of this one.
16 minutes left, and it's getting crazy.
Yeah,
No question about it.
Thomas Merrill definitely smells blood in the water. It looks like a big cloud of dirt outside of turn 5.
Yep.
Maybe even bigger than we're realizing here, because that's a huge amount of
Yeah,
ground.
that's
So,
not looking good.
we got one off. 63 is
That
off
was
in
the
turn
car.
5.
I think that was in front of Skeen, and that's probably why Matos was also slowing out of there as well. Because
So
as
Bob
the leaders
Lima
were
surely
working their
will bring
way
out a
through-
safety car again.
So if he doesn't drive away slowly, he's definitely going to beach that thing. Looks like he's got a chance. Come on, you can do
Come
this.
on,
You
on.
can do this. He looks like to have stalled it again.
Ironically, this is the car that
Skeen
won
we
a
are
VIR with.
We are full course. We are full course
We
yellow.
are full course yellow.
So we are going to get that restart for the championship here at the end.
Well, as my good friend Sid Waddell once said, if you want Shakespeare, that's fine, but this is real drama.
Man, oh man, is it building up? And boy, what a build-up we had here. Mike Skeen was coming up on lap traffic for the first time here. There was potential to close that gap between first and second. I realize it's Skeen's teammate. I think he was getting out of the way for most of this. Might have tried to get out of the way too much and be too nice there, or Matos took action there. I don't want to speculate, but definitely with 14 minutes and 45 seconds left in this race, probably we'll get this guy out of the gravel trap relatively quick, and we're probably going to have a 7 to 5 minute shootout here.
Yeah, no more.
Could determine the championship.
Yeah,
going into tomorrow.
And Rafa Matos has got to rethink. I don't know what happened to him, but I don't know where he is either. But he was involved in a
He
situation.
had enough of a gap that I think he's going to maintain P4.
Yeah, he held Merrill off there and was able to recoup very quickly, but it looked like he had almost spun the car himself. So I'm wondering if he and the 63 might have had some contact before they continue on. This should be a fairly quick cleanup.
They could even push him out from there.
Yeah, they should be able to hook up a toe strap, pull him straight out, ask him to stay offline, and we should be able to get this restarted with just enough time to give us a few more heart attacks up here.
Yeah, no kidding. He's gone off cleanly. Now let's go back with Cameron Lawrence as he tries to gather himself. He's got a lap car in front of him, and then Skeen ahead.
Yeah, Bob Lima in that 63 is who we were out of Meadowbrook, Pennsylvania, so he's going to have an unfortunate end of the race and be a couple laps down. But Cameron Lawrence hoping he can get this lap car out of the way when this restart happens. We see the tow trucks are dispatched now to go ahead and tow that guy out of there.
Yeah.
But
guys, can you see? I think Cameron had his hand out the window there. His helmet blower hose is off.
That's why he's doing that, maybe.
Probably a little hotter than he's normally used to there.
Which is why he was literally trying to push some air into it, right?
Yep. We were talking before the race. He had to raise his visor at the end of qualifying yesterday because they were just about in the dark. He runs a tinted visor. He said as soon as he raised the visor up, somebody went off in front of him, threw a bunch of dirt in his face. So I'm sure now without the helmet blower, it's even more frustrating. And when you're in second place and you want that other...
What does that do? Just blows cold air on it.
I wouldn't say it's cold air. It's you're trying to cool hot air. You're trying to cool down ambient air. In a race like this, if they've got it routed well and you're bringing in outside air that's not coming off the engine cover, you're getting cold air. And that is extremely relieving to the top of your head. The top of your head is keeping that cool is going to be the biggest thing out of everything that you can do.
Yeah, you're a huge helmet blower guy.
Yeah.
If you can have any driver aid, whether it's a drink bottle, cool suit, or a helmet blower, you're a helmet blower, right?
Yeah, I haven't run a cool suit in many, many years.
Right.
Cool box as well as what's the cool system fast.
Yep.
In addition to that, there's a bunch of good companies out there that make good quality products that if you get a well-working helmet blower, for me, that's what I want all day long. You pull that off in the middle of the race, I'm not a very happy camper.
Now, do you run it the entire time?
I do. So in the race I do.
Yeah.
In practice I never run it.
Yeah, I
get used to I get used to it being hot. I get used to short runs in the heat, and then that way. And even actually, usually, especially on a fast pit stop, I will get in and I'll forget to put that on.
Right.
When I'm doing some NASCAR stuff, that thing is on all day because those things are disgusting.
Right.
Well, welcome to Petit Le Mans. We're about to go into the evening with Andy Lally. Oh, no, wait. It's not the Petit Le Mans, but it feels like it because we're going in tonight almost.
I think the BOP is a little better over here, Andy.
Good call. Nice one. So there's the incident. You can just see it in the left-hand side of your screen on the track where the tow trucks are trying to get rid of Bob Lima from out of the gravel.
Shout out to our production team here. Look at this drone shot. Winner. And shout out to Trans Am for being able to put this race on all together. SVRA doing a great job, and a lot of cool cars out here this weekend.
Yeah. Someone that is really, Mike Skeen's not happy to see this caution.
Misha Goikberg.
Misha Goikberg in P17, who stayed on the lead lap after clearing the grill from potentially overheating that engine, is now looking at a scrap with 10 minutes to go and see what he can do. We're going green
this time by, and it's going to be 2 laps. That's all, guys.
2? Wow. That's right.
So,
all right.
A green, white checker, pretty much a green, white checker we got going on here. Yeah,
so close.
So close. I almost had it. It says 3 laps right here, but we'll complete that 3rd lap, and then we will have a green, white checker, at the end of which we may be celebrating the 2020 TA2 champion.
Yeah, we will. That may well be. Well, Cameron Lawrence is, well, what happens now when he's got a car like that? Oh,
man, Matos gets by Franklin, who got hung up in lap traffic.
Wow. Thomas Merrill also coming by him as we see side by side for the lead here into turn 1. Cameron to the outside. He's got Skeen. He might be able to pull the
Come on, Cameron. Can he do it?
Edging ahead as they go up out of sight into turn 3. This is huge.
He did this to Matos. He got it done to him by Franklin, and now he's done it to take the lead in the TA2 race with 2 laps to go over Mike Skeen, who's led the entire time.
Skeen will be spitting. Now, what does Skeen do to react? Because now you're hot-headed. You need the head cooler now.
He's got to take a breath. He's got to take a breath and think big picture right here. If he does a lap and a half right where he's sitting, he's the 2020 TA2 champion.
Good point.
Yeah, nothing to really worry about in that regard. And also, Franklin is all over the bumper of Matos here, so that's what I'm sure Mike's hoping to see is a white and green car right behind him as they come out.
Oh, snake for Cameron Lawrence!
Wide in 7. And he
through goes Skeen into the lead. What a race we've got, folks. 2 laps to go, left hand. Skeen takes it back. Lawrence makes a mistake.
Oh, just a little bit of potential rear lockup with cold tires coming into the extremely important turn 7, and now Mike Skeen has put a car between him and the guy that needs that championship from him. That's what Mike was probably most worried about.
Merrill gets past Frutrell.
Wow, that is awesome to see. We see Franklin right back with the run as they come down into 12. He's definitely got the faster car without having any aero damage. We'll see if he can make something happen as they go down into turn 1. But Thomas Merrill hanging in there.
Everybody screaming and shouting in the Skeen team.
That's Jay Cottrell, a longtime mechanic in motorsports, cheering on his driver.
Misha has made it 3 wide into turn 1. Oh boy, and they get through.
We all got real quiet.
Yeah, it was pause and wait for the
Sorry
disaster.
you guys couldn't see that at home. We are focused on the leader coming through on the white flag lap, about to not only clinch the 2020 TA2 championship, but do it by making a pass for the lead out of turn 7 to potentially. We got a few more seconds to go here, a few more turns.
Franklin Frutrell is all over the back of Thomas Merrill, who seems to have snookered him on that restart with that wounded Mustang. We'll see if Franklin can use some straight line speed down the back straightaway. Thomas with that left front fender completely gone by this point, so we'll see what happens. But as they come out, Mike Skeen with a very strong 5-6 car lengths over Cameron Lawrence. He's got just a handful of corners to go.
Here we go then, down the back straight for the last time here at Road Atlanta. Mike Skeen has led the championship since February at Sebring when everything seemed to be rosy. But then COVID came and they battled through. We got out to mid-Ohio, we kept going, we went to Brainerd, Road America, around the houses, but Skeen has been the man to beat. And he's doing it again, and he comes across the line to take the checkered flag and win a brilliant race here at Road Atlanta, ahead of Cameron Lawrence. Rafa Matos will take 3rd. His wife can't believe it. It's all hugs for them. And what a day for the Liqui Moly team. What a race. And that's how to hold your head, huh?
Man, that was an awesome finish. Looked like Cameron Lawrence is going to be able to disrupt the flow a little bit there and had a little mistake going into turn 7. Mike Skeen was able to get back in front where he spent most of the day and was able to pull out even a little bit of a lead there at the very end.
Well, boys, you came for the right race.
Boy, I tell you, it is always impressive watching this. It's been a pleasure commentating with you guys. that was some wild stuff, man. To see multiple outside passes made in turn one, to see legends of the class do their thing, and really the most impressive thing, not only the passes for the lead, not only the side-by-side, we didn't have guys as tough as they fought, as hard as they beat on each other. Nobody wrecked anybody, and we had a
nobody
great,
did anything
race.
untoward, did they?
Absolutely.
And one thing that we didn't really pick up on, though, Mike Skeen was able to go ahead and throw down the fast lap of the day. So he got a point for that, a couple points for that.
That's good.
And he gets to start up front tomorrow in class. So just a heck of a drive by Mike Skeen here today. Worthy champion, by far one of the best years of his career.
Yeah, what a race. What a day. What a way to end it. We've had some superb racing throughout. My thanks to Ryan Eversley and to Andy Lally for joining me in this. I think they've enjoyed it as much as I have. Boris said included. Thanks to Boris. He'll be in action against these boys tomorrow. And Cameron Lawrence is lighting it up. Why not?
Gonna put it on for the kiddies.
And into the pit lane he comes.
Yeah, man. Matos, who didn't look like he was going to be able to hang on to a podium after Franklin Futrell's really strong performance today, coming home with some hardware. I'm sure he's relieved by that.
The 7 car, the 8 car, and of course our champion in the 77 pulling into the podium position here. What an awesome job by all of these guys. A really top-notch, not just professional, but just absolutely awesome. Look at Steve doing his donuts here. He's on the drift track. He forgets what car he's in right now, but he is burning it down for the fans, for you at home, for everybody fortunate enough to be sitting in 10A and B here. It's a smoke show for our champ.
Muscle car racing, very much so. Trans Am putting on a show at the iconic Road Atlanta. What a day, what a weekend we've got still to come as we have a 5-class full field tomorrow. And he's laying down plenty more rubber too. Good stuff. Well done to Mike Skeen.
Sorry, I was sort of spectating here, just enjoying Skeen's burnout there, and but yeah, absolutely top-notch job from not just this podium, the top 5, the top 10, top 15, all the way down through the field here. We saw great racing, and that's exactly what this class is built on, and just very, very cool to see. Cool to see a plan come together. You know, these guys build this series to set the stage for just such a race. And when it comes through like this, especially in challenging times, it's very cool to see all the way around.
There's Doug Peterson out of the car.
Another excellent top 10 finish by Doug. I think he came home P8 today.
Well, we only just got it in. Look, the sun is just about to drift under the horizon.
And if you're looking, that's not fog. That is the smoke from Mike Skeen's victory burnout there, which was epic. I've never seen someone do a burnout down through turn 12 before. That was awesome. And what could have been for some of our notable drivers today, unfortunately, Ray Evernham, probably the most famous driver in the event, didn't really get to have the result or the track time he was looking for, but he's out here in his other Trans Am car having a lot of fun in some of the other classes. Connor Mosak, after an awesome battle and drift show through turn 12, unfortunately having a bit of a mechanical problem there at the end. Looked like the car overheated. That was a bummer. And then Misha Goikhberg, I believe he restarted 18th on that final restart where we had the yellow for Bob Lima, and came home 14th. You know,
that's pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive. I'm surprised that car still had any fenders on it, because he was 3 wide into 1 on the inside, somehow made it work on that restart.
Well, guys, thanks for the moment, because right now let's head down to pit lane and join Ben Sissel with our winners.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a great TA2 race. Nice job up there in the announcer's booth, but I think I can kind of unconfirm a championship in TA2 right now with Mike Skeen doing the burnouts out there. We thought Cameron had you there at the end. Tell me about your race.
Yeah, man, that thing felt like it would never end. You know, we had an awesome car for sure. Stevens Miller Racing, like they've done all year, is giving me a fantastic piece here. Very happy for you know, us to be able to have this opportunity with Likamali, Turn 14 Distribution. They're the ones that put me in this car, put this car on the racetrack. So huge thanks to them again. You know, family, friends, I got a lot of support here this weekend. My girlfriend Kelly's here as always, and it's been awesome weekend. We've had incredible pace the whole time. all those restarts, man, I thought for sure one of these times that we'd get jumped. And, Cameron had a killer run on that last one. Didn't want to fight him too hard into one, and he took it, and he had a little mistake in 7. I was able to slip by again. I thought it was over after that restart. But, extremely happy to be able to put an exclamation point on this championship. We've been, fast a lot, but always trying to take the smart decision too. And so just happy to bring in some good points.
Nice, Mike Skeen, congratulations. Joe Stevens, 2 in a row for team owner Joe Stevens. Take the mic, tell me how it feels.
It feels great. I'm absolutely thrilled to race in such an excellent series with such competition. Cameron, Merrill, Rafa, Legacy, the talent goes so deep in this field, and we did it with one race to spare, just like 2019. Hats off to this crew. Hats off to my family and everybody struggling with what's going on. I'm just so honored and thrilled to be a team owner and to lead such a great pack of people. I'm thrilled. Great job to everybody. Great job to the series and John Claggett and Tony Pirelli for really letting this thing grow. Our fields are huge. Like I said, the talent is just unmeasured. And I couldn't be more excited for 2021.
Nice. Joe Stevens, TA2 champion here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Rafa Matos, great race. Cameron Lawrence, great race. I'm going to send it back to you, Johnny. Thanks.
Excellent stuff, Ben Sissel, and congratulations to Stevens Miller Racing. They did it, and they did it in style, just as they did last year with Mark Miller. Boys, last thought, 2 secs. Give us your 10 cents worth. Andy Lally first.
Thanks, man. Hey, could you guys, though, get somebody?
His gap from 1st to 2nd is bigger than the gap from 1st to 7th tomorrow. I think that's going to prove to be great competition.
And Ryan, what are your thoughts, Ryan?
I mean, I'm thinking right now, if tomorrow's last race of the season, everybody always remembers your last race. So if you didn't have a chance at the championship, well, tomorrow's going to be a great chance for you to go out on top. Remind everybody who you are and why you're here. So Franklin and obviously Cameron Lawrence are going to be looking to come back strong.
Andy, I missed your last one. We had the mic on. What were your thoughts going into tomorrow?
It's after a battle that we saw today. I'm looking forward to it. I want to make note that Mike Skeen, who had an amazing pole run of 8/10, covered it 1st to 2nd place. That we've got 7/10 covering 1st to 8th place tomorrow. We're going to have a much tighter field. I think these guys learned a little from today, and they're going to be much. They're going to be on much. They're going to be much packed up to Mike Skeen at the end here, and we're going to see an even better battle.
Can't wait. What a day. My thanks to Andy Lally. Confirmation and Ryan Eversley and confirmation of the result. Mike Skeen with the victory over Cameron Lawrence. Rafa Matos takes 3rd. Thomas Merrill, despite the damage to his car, gets 4th place. Franklin Futrell, what a way to make a debut. 5th place. Keith Projek all the way from the back to 6th. JP Southern held off the other youngsters to take 7th. Doug Peterson, the old fella, doing a very good job in 8th. And Scott Borchetta, 9th. Barry Bowes. We'll be back tomorrow for the grand finale. All classes, winner takes all, in another Sunset Showdown from Road Atlanta. My thanks to everybody involved. Great stuff from Greenlight Television. Until tomorrow, bye-bye for now.
As you can tell, I like to go fast. Our race team is really well prepared. We like to look good, but we also like to dress good, and that's why we shop at Franklin Road Apparel. I own the company, and I wear the clothes that we sell in that store. So check us out. We carry all the top brands: Baldwin, John Barbados, Billy Reed, Goodman Brand, and on down the list. So come see us, Franklin Road Apparel, Franklin, Tennessee.
Hey race fans, it's the start of a brand new decade, so don't be on the outside looking in. Straddle the technology fence with us and be part of all the action at every round of the 2020 season. With our all-new app, you'll now have live global streaming of all the action from the heart of each and every track. Live scoring, race highlights, replays, results, and team and driver news. Everything you could ever want to be informed of the world of Trans Am and SVRA. Download now on Apple and Android, the only place to get your muscle car media.